Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ Review number 255. I am the moderator, Virtue, being joined by this week's elite panel of the review. Of course, Aaron Rift, Big G, and Jeff Meacham. Aaron, wasn't Walter supposed to join us? What happened? I thought he was supposed to fill in for Colin. I swear I put that in the chat, but I thought he was supposed to be on here. Send him the link. Aaron, go look at your chat. I swear we were supposed to have Walter fill in for Colin. Nonetheless, what's up, Big G? I'll start with you.
Not much. Just been working a lot lately. A lot of wrestling going on. You know, we'll talk about more into it. So, but other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
Walter was supposed to be on here, so maybe he got held up. Maybe he's part of a bank robbery. Who knows? Jeff Meacham, what's going up? Hey, before we went on live here just a minute ago, we were talking about Halloween. We're getting into that season here.
Yeah, just back from the convention this weekend, man. I had a blast. I was talking about all show yesterday at Meach's, or actually it was Jeff Meacham show. I ended up kind of combining all the shows with wrestling and Halloween talk. So yeah, check that out. Had a blast, had a good time, but time to refocus the energies on wrestling. We've got Fastlane this weekend that we're covering on the network. Dynamite's anniversary tomorrow. Not that somebody doesn't care about Dynamite, but we're watching Big G walk away. Cool. So yeah, a lot of stuff to talk about. It's only a few topics, but they're meaty topics. So it'll be fun.
Well, we're going to talk about Edge and AEW, of course. So stay tuned, NoDQ Galaxy. Aaron Rift, over to you. This is Tuesday night. We got to get back on track here soon. I don't know when our next show is. You know the schedule. Maybe you should do a poll, Aaron, on what the best night for the review is. Maybe people want Thursday night again. But anyway, what's up?
It's been busy, and it's tough because we have various premium live events, and sometimes we have to move to Tuesday, and sometimes you got something going on, sometimes I have something going on, and we're just trying to find a good night to be on. There's predictions and all sorts of other live streams. It's tough, but we are here on a Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and no shortage of things to talk about. We're coming off 2 pay-per-views. We had NXT's No Mercy and AEW Wrestle Dream. We had Jade Cargill being announced to have her debut with WWE in the near future. She has signed. And then Edge actually did make his debut. Adam Copeland debuted at Wrestle Dream. So the tides are changing in wrestling. We got some people switching around brands, switching around companies, and I'm curious to know what everybody thought about the latest happenings over the past week or so.
And that's what we're going to talk about. So, Aaron, I'll just kick it off here with the first topic, and let's talk about NXT, because there was No Mercy over the weekend. Whoever likes NXT still, I see that it's kind of getting more attention. The ratings have kind of been on the upward tick a little bit. Tuesday night there on USA. You know, Shawn Michaels is kind of the creative behind that. And could we finally be getting the next batch of stars for WWE? Is this starting to click? And, I mean, not just Jade Cargill has signed with AEW, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, but NXT, I mean, let's not forget Brian Pillman Jr.'s with NXT now, are going to be with NXT. That's another guy Tony Khan didn't develop. That could have been a homegrown. And, you know, WWE has pulled it off in some instances when they have a legendary father. Some instances it hasn't worked out, but hey, I'm willing to give it that chance and see if they can work with him. Jeff Meacham, I'm going to start with you. Is NXT gaining popularity? Now, remember the whole old school Triple H NXT, everybody rant and raved about it.
Yes.
Vince got his talons on it and it kind of fizzled out. But it seems like it's on the uptick again, at least from what I'm seeing from a distance.
Yeah.
When ratings go up, people are watching.
Yes.
What's your thought, or is this just kind of a freaky coincidence? Maybe there's nothing else on TV Tuesday nights.
No, I've noticed in the last little while that the quality of NXT has improved enough where you're getting some of the black and gold fans back. I will agree wholeheartedly with Matthew here that it was one of the best shows since the black and gold era, since this, I guess, not 2.0 because that was the rainbow logo era, but since they kind of scaled back on the color vomit of the logo, I guess is the best way I can put it. When Noah Foster, who does our play-by-play on our watch-alongs, was so passionate about the Dragunov Carmelo Hayes match that he was into it as much as a fan as he was doing the play-by-play for me. That's when I knew that there was definitely a much more of an upward swing than I realized, because he's been adamant about this is not his NXT, damn it. JJ very much is NXT, because this when he started watching in the post Black and Gold era. But I think if a fan that was dedicated to the point that Noah was of the Black and Gold era is this passionate about it that he doesn't hesitate to call the shows for me anymore, then I think it's a good sign for the company as a whole.
Now, Jeff, I got to call spade a spade. Is this slight uptick in NXT popularity and slight increase in TV ratings tied to the main roster stars showing up more often now? You had Becky Lynch, you had Dominic, I think it has something to do with it for sure.
Well, no, I can't argue with that, but I was noticing that the in-ring work of the kids, because for lack of a better term, because they're all younger than me, because my old ass. But I think the kids are working harder to earn that phrasing going away. It's like, no, we don't need the main roster people. Yes, it definitely helped, but I think that great example. Yes, it was against Becky Lynch, but Tiffany Stratton really showed out the other night. She had an unbelievable night, completely, not only dispelled the thing that she's just a Barbie, but literally used a bunch of broken Barbies as thumbtacks, for lack of a better term. It was such a cool spot that I think people like Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes got people. We've been talking about Carmelo Hayes going up to the main roster for over a year now, since before Stand and Deliver, when he became the champion. So there's a lot of great young talent there. Like you said, Virtue, I think this class of NXT stars or talent, if you will, and then the people that are in the PC now, on their way into NXT rotation, I think we're going to see even more of an upswing, because for a while there, like I'll agree with you, it was kind of just, it felt too much like 1995 WWF. It was like, oh God, just put it back on the network, and I'll give me something else on Tuesday nights in USA. God, but it's way better than it was. My thing with NXT has been this always. It's not what it once was. It's a phrase that a lot of addicts use. I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not where I used to be.
God, hey, Corbin's even down there getting some life back.
Corbin came out on a bike the other night, and I was like, it sounded like his old theme. I almost called Dylan. I'm like, Dylan, I don't care what you're doing. Watch NXT. This is your Baron Corbin, Bubba. And then I couldn't get a hold of him, of course. So, but yeah, it was cool to see that old element of Baron Corbin back the other night.
Well, thank you, Jeff. All right, Big G, over to you. You used to be big into NXT UK or all these other NXTs, but what's your thoughts here?
Black and Gold, NXT UK. I mean, I might give it NXT a chance again and watch like Tonight Show later on and see how it is, because I wasn't a big fan of the NXT 2.0, and that kind of was like that shut me off from NXT. But now that I see it's kind of thriving again, and there are glimpses of like the older NXT, and yeah, Shawn Michaels is running it now, which is awesome. He's got a great creative mind. But yeah, like I said, NXT Black and Gold was my thing. We'll see. I mean, Dragunov is there. He's the new NXT champ, which is awesome. He was in NXT UK, and I was a fan of his watching NXT UK back then. Braun Breaker, he kind of started in the Black and Gold era, like towards the end of it, and then he's improved a lot. So is Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo, I believe, won the Breakout Superstar of the Year, or the Breakout Star tournament back in the day, and NXT Black and Gold too, and he's improved a lot too. So we'll see. Like I said, I'll give it a chance tonight and see how it goes, and then I might be watching NXT again.
You're all about jumping on the bandwagon. I can definitely see you watching it again. All right. Well, Walter, thanks for joining us. I didn't know what happened there, but we're talking about NXT. If it's starting to slowly gain popularity again, obviously I mentioned a lot of main roster people are dabbling down there. Maybe that's helping it out a little bit. I mean, heck, it's doing almost the same ratings as Dynamite. What do you think, Walter? NXT, you watch it? Any interest in it?
I think it does have a lot to do with the main roster. And I can admit it, when Becky Lynch won that title, I started watching. I've watched NXT 3 weeks in a row now. Like seeing how they book it. Now they got this women's tournament. They got this women's tournament coming up. And it's just great to see that. So they're going to book the women better. It seems like they're doing. And Shawn Michaels has a lot of influence. Plus he can whisper in people's ear about something he said that we'll get to later about a certain superstar. So if he's down with it and he's got influence to talk to Triple H, then we might see someone coming soon as well. That we know who I'm talking about, but we got a subject for later, so I'll save that for later. But NXT
it's coming up soon.
Yeah, NXT is doing a lot better, and it's good to see that they could reel me in because I was I was the black and gold all day, and then when it was rainbow, I was like, I'm tuning out. Like even Aaron stopped. He used to do NXT, and then he was like, hell no, I'm not reviewing this anymore. And now look at what's going to happen. So
the thing for me,
I liked early NXT. I liked FCW, and I know it wasn't easily like until it became NXT, it really wasn't necessarily watchable. But did it air as FCW? I don't think it did. I think you had to kind of be down there.
Maybe locally.
Because obviously, look at the people that came up from FCW. We had a lot. I mean, the Shield was there, right?
They went from like a game type thing to wrestling to this. So like,
if they can get it back to where, because it became, I understand when it was the black and gold, the Triple H era there, and the indie diehard fans loved it because of the Garganos and the Adam Coles. I hope it becomes more like the FCW was. And when was main roster people going down there and wrestling? Was it early NXT where you would have Cesaro go down there?
Yeah.
And they're doing that again. So if it gets to be like FCW early NXT style again, I don't know, maybe we can get some of the next big stars. And we got Brian Pillman Jr. What was that? Sounded like someone just passed some gas. But Aaron, with that said, I swear it heard like someone went. But hey, NoDQ Galaxy, when you get a chance, replay this after the show and
there you go.
The Vince Russo fart or not. He likes to watch podcasts and see if people fart. All right.
Well, I was gonna, you mentioned main roster people. Both the tournaments to crown the first NXT champion and the first women's champion were a split of both main roster and NXT people. So that was a good formula for them in 2012 and whatever it was 2013. So why not?
We need more stars for Roman Reigns. All right, Aaron, over to you.
I think it was Jeff, by the way.
The NoDQ Galaxy, they'll be the judges. They'll leave it in the comments in the YouTube section.
Whoever denied it supplied it.
I think what happened was when I unmuted, I moved in my chair. This chair is leather as hell. So, yeah, there you go.
All right, Aaron, we're talking NXT gaining popularity.
What about it?
The heyday, the prominent days, the days when we would go and watch NXT before pay-per-views in Toronto and Chicago, and they weren't horrible shows.
No, they weren't.
So, what's your thoughts
on the popularity of NXT?
Yeah, is it gaining?
Oh, God.
What everybody else said, Dominic Mysterio, Becky Lynch, so on and so forth. It's more or less the same NXT, maybe a little bit better than it was a few years ago. I know people rave about black and gold NXT, but I wasn't watching NXT back then either. Like I watched the takeovers and that was about it. When NXT moved to the USA Network in 2019, I did watch it, but then you had AEW coming in and it was just a lot to keep up with between Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, and back then you just had Dynamite. You had the YouTube shows, but then they added Rampage and it just became too much to keep up with. So even if NXT's better, at least for me, I'm good just covering the takeover events, although they're not called takeover anymore. Just the NXT premium live events and sticking to the main shows, Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, sometimes Collision, and that's about it. That's as much as I can handle at this time. People have jobs, they have families, they have kids, they have other hobbies, they have other shows they want to watch. NXT is solid from what I've seen. I do occasionally check out some of the episodes and watch the on-demand versions of it, and maybe even check out the YouTube clips. And it's fine. It's not great in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of the commentary, especially Booker T. With all due respect to him. I miss Mauro Ranallo. I thought he was a big part of why I enjoyed the old NXT, and it's never really been the same without him, in my opinion. So it's fine. It's nice to see some of the up-and-comers before they hit it big, and I think that's the biggest appeal to it, as long as they keep showcasing new people and you get to see a little glimpse of what they're going to be like, and the people actually are utilized on the main roster. I think that's the key. I think what maybe turned off some people was that NXT would not call up wrestlers for a very long time. There was that period where like Ciampa wasn't going up and all these guys. And then WWE started releasing people that they were calling up, like Keith Lee. And at that point, fans are like, why should we care to watch this show? Why should we invest if they're just going to release these guys and not make them big stars? And then, you know, you got Mr. Tito saying, well, the whole system's messed up, and, you know, that's why these guys aren't becoming stars. But yeah, if I'm going to commit to NXT, I want to know that these guys are most likely going to be major stars. If I watch NXT and I'm like, well, these guys are just going to get cut, or they're going to go to the main roster and then they'll quickly go to catering, then why bother watching it? Why bother getting emotionally invested if they're not actually going to become big stars? The cool thing about the Shield was that they actually did become major stars. And Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, you got to see them in NXT, Finn Balor. And I think that's why that period is seen as the glory period, because those guys, and Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Bayley, all the female stars, the Four Horsemen.
Drew McIntyre came back and had
all of them.
Yeah.
Went to NXT and then made it big on the main roster.
Undisputed Era. They didn't make it big on the main roster, for very long, but all three of those guys came through there. So
yeah, and I mean they're starting to do it. Like we've seen Grayson Waller, and Pretty Deadly.
Theory.
But what about? Well, yeah, Theory.
LA Knight.
LA Knight. There you go.
What about Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes and Tiffany Stratton? Like, what about them? Like, I want to see them on the main roster now. And if I see them come in and they're successful, then that might entice me to want to check out NXT a little bit more. So that's my take on it.
I think Braun Breaker's just too one-dimensional for me. Like I am not a fan of the character. I'm not. Like he went from, goody two shoes Steiner clone to over aggressive Uncle Scott clone. Like seriously, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I feel bad if somebody else feels bad about what I said. But as far as the chat room, Booker T, please tell me why Booker T is like you guys like Booker T. I enjoy Barrett and Graves on the main roster shows because they have that heel tendency, but they're not overly charactery about it. Booker's a flat out character. He drives me knucking futz on NXT.
I mean, I didn't like Booker T really on the main roster doing commentary.
He's not a good commentator, and no matter how funny he comes off, he detracts from the show by being a commentator. It bugs.
Yeah, I'm real tired of that shucky ducky quack quack stuff.
Well, that was stupid when he first debuted it, to be fair.
And then he's ordering DoorDash during the show.
Right. I'll always be grateful to Booker for the podcast event after No Mercy and how accommodating him and his team were. But, oh, my God, he's one of the worst commentators ever.
Would you rather
worse than his brother in WCW?
Wait. Would you rather have Booker or JBL?
JBL on a heartbeat.
Okay. Anybody else want to answer that before we move on? I mean, I threw that out there for the heck of it.
I mean, JBL is such an ass kisser.
I mean, didn't JBL more or less probably keep Mauro Ranallo from being there?
Yeah.
Like
okay.
I liked the 2006, 2007 JBL, but when he came back in
that's fair. That's okay, fair.
He became too much of a company shill.
So I would say I prefer Booker. I prefer Booker on my team over John Layfield, but I prefer JBL as a commentator over Booker T.
Fair
however you want to phrase that and interpret that.
All right, let's move on, everybody. And we're going to talk. Jade Cargill is officially with WWE. Now, do we know where she's going to be yet? Or it's just a big mystery? We don't know.
Don't know yet.
Main roster, NXT. So there's some speculation we can talk about there. Where's she going to end up within WWE? And I also want to talk about, before we talk about Edge signing with AEW, Adam Copeland, let's take a step back a little bit and talk about some of these cryptics regarding CM Punk's past words and promos that are just getting sprinkled. Could that be a rib by the likes of like Michael Cole saying these things? Who else did the other one? Was it Seth Rollins?
Yeah.
Seth Rollins. And
Well, Seth was part of that. The thing with
Seth
Cole.
Rollins. Well, and the thing is, though, when Punk cut the one promo in Ring of Honor, was Seth Rollins still there with them? Was Rollins in Ring of Honor back?
I'm not sure if he was in Ring of Honor then, but Punk's the one that trained Rollins.
Look,
So,
if you're not gonna set up future bit, like, yes, you could troll, like, yeah, let's throw these cryptics out there to mess with Punk fans. WWE has always been about paying off business when they can, and just the fact that Rollins started it way back over the summer with that promo backstage with some dirt sheet guy that he said, hey, you know, I never want Punk should never come back here. He's toxic. Whatever he said. That's Rollins wanting to set up business with this guy because he knows the internet people would clamor over this. And I feel, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm more confident than ever right now that CM Punk is going to come back for one more run with WWE to end it the right way. And in this day and age, he's going to be able to get his lighter schedule, which is probably what he really always wanted. You can say he wanted a main event mania, whatever. Dude, he left knowing he was going to go over Triple H at a WrestleMania. He was burned out, did not like the schedule. He could come back now, and they can give him not a Roman and Brock schedule, but a schedule that's way better than he used to work there, and he's still going to have these. He could still headline night one. Big G. You know, Rock's never going to wrestle Roman Reigns. Well, we open that can of worms back open again, the Pandora's box. Punk's Pandora's box, once he came back to AEW and we knew he still wanted to be in the business, dude, I'm telling you, I see these videos. More things are coming out now where the people that like Punk are sharing, hey, he's not a bad guy, car rides with other former WWE veterans. Dude, the guy is likable unless you're a certain group of younger or modern type wrestlers. So talk about Jade Cargill within the WWE roster. Where's she going to land? And of course, does my argument hold water that Punk's going to show back up in WWE at some point?
Right.
Go.
So Jade Cargill, you know, she started to impress me a lot more in AEW, right? Like in the middle of her TBS title run, you know, she's improved a lot. And for WWE to sign her right away shows that she will be a big star in WWE. Hopefully they use her the right way, and hopefully this will kind of revitalize the women's division on the main roster, because I feel lately the women's division on the main roster has been kind of lackluster. But I think she's gonna go straight to the main roster. I think she tweeted out something yesterday saying something about who will be my first opponent, #Raw. So I don't know if that was kind of a sign that she might be going to Raw or if it's still up in the air. Hopefully she debuts soon, because I feel like if they wait too long, it might not be as hot as like her coming in, because I'm trying to see how I can like word it.
Big G, while you're thinking that, my gut feeling says that they're going to push her quick, and she might even skip NXT, especially now that Adam Copeland is already in AEW. Hey, we got Cody. We're going to make a star out of Jade. Nice trade. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like
it's going to be sooner. I feel like it's going to be sooner than later with Jade Cargill.
Okay.
As far as CM Punk goes, you know, I ate my words when I saw The Rock come back on SmackDown. So,
and it was just a one-off appearance, so technically you're still sitting in the driver's seat. But
there's a little bit. There's probably a glimpse, but I feel like with CM Punk coming, there's maybe a good 75% chance that he'll be back. We've seen Ultimate Warrior come back. People who left WWE and we thought the bridges were burnt and they rebuilt the bridge. Bruno was another one. But yeah, CM Punk, as long as he has some kind of creative control over what he wants to do and has a lighter schedule, I think he'll come back. I mean, Survivor Series is in Chicago, but I would rather see him come at the Royal Rumble and be a surprise entry in the Rumble. So
lot for him to prove towards the company he recently worked for, Punk, and by going back to that, WWE after everything that went down in the past would be, dude, he knows it, WWE knows it. That would make AEW look Bush League. Wow, the guy left us because he didn't like the way we did things and our schedule. Took 7 years off. You bring him back. It was good early on, but it didn't work out, and all this drama unfolded. Now we have him back, and everybody's working together because we're a wrestling company. We're all adults. We figured out how to do this thing. Boom. Seth Rollins, CM Punk, WrestleMania. Just saying. I don't know. I feel it, man. I'm starting to get that. I'm getting pretty confident. And like I said, putting little cryptics, there's not a coincidence when there's multiple ones now.
No.
They're not going to go out of their way to rib him at this point. The dude was backstage, and most people have talked to him and like him now. So, in terms of WWE locker room.
Yeah.
Walter, sit up and talk, man. What's up?
Your head's at the bottom of the screen.
Your turn. Punk, dude, you get that. You just get that feeling, that gut feeling. You have releases. They got rid of all these, and there could still be more releases. So they definitely have payroll. They can use some of that payroll they don't have to use anymore to bring some people back that are going to create a buzz. WWE's all about creating a buzz. That's why Logan Paul is there. Pat McAfee's there.
Yeah.
CM Punk, they know, is the internet darling of all darlings still today. They want to capitalize on that, I think. But anyway, go ahead. I think you like Jade Cargill too, right?
Yes, I like them both, and I really do think Punk is coming back. And if you think Seth didn't do that on purpose and wasn't working everybody, then you don't know wrestling. He was in character when he was doing that. That was not Carlos or whatever his real name is. I forget. I think it is Carlos.
Colby?
Yeah, Kobe. Is it Kobe or Carlos?
No.
Colby.
Kobe.
It's Colby with an L.
Oh, okay. So if he was in character, he knows what he's doing, and they could work that into a storyline. If you don't think that Seth he'll probably hold on to that title at WrestleMania. Look what he's been doing the last few WrestleManias, and then lose it to Punk, and Punk gets that title right away. It instantly elevates that title again and makes Punk a big star again. So I really think that's what's going to happen. It's going to get teased at the Rumble or something. We know Survivor Series is in Chicago. And these little hints, like you said, all right, once is a coincidence, but there's been 3 or 4 of these little subtle hints now. Now it ain't a coincidence. It's teases. It's just like the whole rabbit thing.
And we got enough
for a reason.
And that's the thing too. It's a different. It's yes, Vince McMahon is still the chairman of the board. Triple H is still there, and you could say there's past heat and discrepancy with them and Punk, but it's still a different company now. You have Endeavor leaders that are technically ahead of everybody, and Punk might feel comfortable with that, being like, hey, this is the time to strike now. I don't know. Anything else you want to add, Walter?
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. I want the Survivor Series thing, but that might be too soon. I don't know how that all works, but Royal Rumble would be even better. If he came out late 20s or 30, cult of personality, place is going to go nuts. I would rather have that than Survivor Series in Chicago, because with the CM Punk Chicago, we get it. There's going to be other WWE shows in Chicago if he comes back. Royal Rumble would be huge.
Just think about the entire year in general, how crazy it's been. If you don't think this is going to happen, then anything can happen. Literally, this has been one of the craziest years and greatest news years we've had in how long? Like Aaron's sight must have been increased by so much this year, and everything's just going on. Now you got Edge and AEW. There's so much going on there. If you don't think Punk can make a ways back,
I'm telling you guys. Listen, Cody was the first one. Jade Cargill is, got to prove it first. If Punk comes back and we're like, damn, it happened. Yeah. I'm gonna throw. You know what, Ace? I'm gonna throw right on the table. MJF. He's going to consider it even more because he's going to be like, man, I got to work for both companies. I can't just be an AEW lifer. But
especially if they book Jade correctly.
Checkbooks are open checkbooks, though. So if he became the highest paid wrestler in history because Tony Khan wouldn't let it happen, I would never fault MJF for not leaving. But anyway, anything else you want to add, Walter? Because Jeff's itching here. He's been doing
what
this.
You just said.
Contemplating what he's going to say.
Tony already said
that
he offered a whole bunch. He offered a bunch of money to Tony Khan. So if you don't think he's gonna throw the freaking checkbook at MJF, you got another thing coming. He's probably gonna put a blank check in front of MJF and say, "You put the figure." like that's what I think is gonna happen.
Should do.
All right, Jeff, go ahead. Let's talk here. Jade Cargill, CM Punk.
Well, Walter, excuse me, Virtue. You mentioned that you were talking about having, or both of you guys were mentioning having. Punk come in at the Rumble. If they wait to debut Jade until then, does that overshadow her? Then is my worry there. Why
not have a female to pop the crowd and Punk?
Well, no. I agree with that part. I feel like if it's a different person, you don't overshadow Jade. If it's Punk's return, everything's overshadowed. So that's my only problem with that particular theory.
Is Royal Rumble in a stadium? Are they doing that again, like they've been doing?
It's at the place where they had the Thunderdome, Tropicana Field.
So it's
it's baseball stadium.
Dude, make bigger the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. As far as Jade, she threw the tease out. I think it was last night during Raw. Hashtag Raw. Who should be my first victim? Hashtag WWE Raw. So. The thought process obviously goes, okay, she's going to be on Raw. But she can do the same thing on SmackDown Friday. So we'll see what happens on social media. That's me about social media. They have the ability to out-troll the trolls because we don't know where she's going. We know she's signed. There's been pictures released by WWE of her at the PC, so we know she's there. We know she's training. She knows that we know. So it's just a matter of waiting and seeing. And I think that's the way to do it with Jade. As far as Punk, again, I've been very, very negative toward CM Punk since Brawlout and how I feel about him being back, and I've held steady to that the entire time. And then I see that video last night that I retweeted of him and Brian and Christian and Britt in the car, and it's like, man, how can I be mad at this guy? He's having a good time. He's enjoying himself.
The right people. Notice who was in that car. The right people.
Yeah, exactly. I have a feeling if it had been a car with the Elite, it would have been a freaking car bomb going off. Just throwing that out there. I mean, just because he detests those guys so much. It just bothered me that the situation went down the way it went down. But I think that in the right environment, with WWE in control of things, rather than letting the inmates run the asylum like they do in AEW, I think there's money to be made. There's money on the table. Punk just come collect it. Rollins is the obvious choice. Talking about that. Oh yeah, keep him away. He's a cancer, but he's doing it with the big giant goofy ass hat on and the sunglasses, doing a media interview with some schmuck at the 2K presser. It's like, dude,
we have fun with this. Dude, yeah. White Rabbit led to Bray Wyatt. We speculated that. Cody Rhodes came back. We speculated that. Punk eventually did come back to wrestling after 7 years when people were like, oh, stop the CM Punk chance. It's never going to happen. Daniel Bryan, Edge, all of them came back from injury.
Brian came back. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, dude, why? Like, this isn't like us going out on a limb. It's plausible. It's more than plausible for business. All right, somebody's dryer just went off. Big G, you want to go fold your clothes? Aaron,
that was me.
Okay. Aaron, over to you now if you want to talk about.
Funny thing here. Yeah. So, Caitlin, my wife, thought that we were starting at 8:00 and she had time to finish the laundry. That's why it went.
Oh, your laundry room. Okay.
My dryer, you can turn the signal off. Maybe I don't know. Does yours have one of those?
Probably not. She runs it, so I don't.
Oh, Aaron doesn't know how to run the dryer. No. All right, Aaron, go
We're
ahead.
getting insight into the Rift household here now. There we go.
Jade Cargill, CM Punk. CM Punk is gold for you. I know you want to talk.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my God!
All right, so Jade Cargill signing to WWE. I'm not really surprised. I think she's a good fit for WWE, and I like what they're doing so far with her, showing the ESPN announcement, and I think that they see her as a major character. Like they are investing in her, and the rumor right now is that she's going to be part of the Raw brand, which I'm a little disappointed if that's the case, because I wanted to see her paired up with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. But, on Raw, she could potentially face Rhea Ripley, maybe Nia Jax. I mean, hopefully she'll be okay with that. But I still liked my idea of her being with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits and kind of just being like a bodyguard at first while she continues to train at the Performance Center. But it looks like they're gonna debut her pretty soon. It sounds like she could even debut as soon as Fastlane this Sunday or Saturday, excuse me, which that's going to be a pretty quick turnaround from her last AEW appearance. But yeah, it just goes to show that they do see her as a potential major star in WWE. And as far as CM Punk goes, all the little teasers, I did post about it on NoDQ, and some people think there's something to it. Others think that fans are grasping at straws. I'll believe it when I see it. I was still not really confident that Edge was going to show up in AEW, but he did. CM Punk in WWE, I think that there's definitely money to be made. And if CM Punk wants to do it, I think it will happen. And CM Punk versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, I think is a realistic possibility at this point. They could put it on night one, and CM Punk will technically get his WrestleMania main event.
There you go.
And This Guy Experience sent in $2. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It says, rare occasion, am off tonight, can tune in live. There you go.
Cool.
Could you imagine, Aaron, at WrestleMania next year, night one, CM Punk becomes the world heavyweight champion by beating Rollins, and night two, Cody Rhodes beats Roman Reigns, and those were two AEW guys. Dude, I mean,
there to see
talk about a ha. This is how you do business, pal.
At Tropicana Field, not too far from Jacksonville at that. That'd be the ultimate, F you to Tony. That'd be tremendous. Anyway.
And I'm going to the Rumble. Field. And I'm going to WrestleMania.
No, Jeff, at
WrestleMania. Oh, Mania. I'm sorry, Mania. Sorry, Mania. Sorry.
Philadelphia.
Sorry. I have my. Sorry.
Yeah. Now, this all ties in. Jade Cargill, CM Punk, and Cody Rhodes obviously jumped and has done very well. Edge went to AEW. People were moving around for Edge. It was going to be an easy paycheck for him. Tony Khan's going to open up that checkbook big time for Edge. But as far as potential jumps to WWE, the key guys, somebody in the chat room asked about this, who do I think or who do we think will be the next person to jump to WWE? You have to look at some of the names that have contracts coming up, MJF being one of them. I'm hoping that Tony Khan already got him an extension or something, although MJF publicly said that when his contract's up, his contract's up. And that would be a big blow. I think that would be the biggest blow to AEW if they lose MJF, because he's one of the best things about the show at this point. Without him, they do have Adam Copeland to help make up for CM Punk being gone, and we'll talk about Edge here in just a moment. I think Jade Cargill having a lot of success will once again, like Cody Rhodes, show people in AEW that the grass is not necessarily greener on the other side. Walter?
I honestly think MJF is trolling, because there's no way you would let that contract. There's no way you let that contract. You better sign him now. Can Tony really be that stupid? Oh my God!
If MJF goes to WWE next year, then Tony Khan needs
Aaron, we observed MJF his entire run. He even said the other night he misses old school wrestling. There's no more old school thing in wrestling than kayfabing. He's totally letting it play out until the contract expires. He's probably signed for 3 more years at this point. Shit.
Yeah, exactly. I think so.
I would hope that Tony Khan was smart enough to sign him long term before giving him this push. Just saying. I mean,
You would think that
would be disastrous if MJF drops the title and then goes to WWE.
But
All I remember is him. I believe he and Cody Rhodes are good buddies.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he stayed at his house, and it's documented. And you know, I mean, we're going to talk about it soon. Adam Copeland went to AEW. His buddy Christian is there. They like to travel with friends too. So it's a possibility, is what I'm saying.
And then two other key guys, Wardlow and Ricky Starks, are, I think, 2 other people that I could see jumping when their contracts are up, whenever they are up.
I think unless Ricky Starks' continued push continues and only gets better from here, he's jumping. Wardlow's just probably waiting. Like, they ain't done shit with me. Let me lose already. But Virtue, you mentioned the other day in the private chat who's been, or no, it wasn't you that mentioned it. It was, I think it was either Robbie brought it up or you brought it up. You know, as far as who's been a bigger mark for the Castaways, Bischoff or Tony. And I pointed out the difference is that Tony already called Bischoff out for doing it. So yeah, Tony opened up the purse strings, but he's making the same mistakes and he looks worse for doing it. If he lets MJF get away, even with signing Adam Copeland, that is going to look like worse than Bischoff letting Pillman go stupid.
Yeah. Now,
don't forget, Jeff Heyman did Castaways too in ECW, but it was a lesser. It was they weren't there long because they got pulled back into one of the big 2. Like the big
but also we've learned more since the demise of ECW that WWE was very much doing that a lot of the time too. So
now I did want to bring up Brian Pillman Jr. and David Estevez sent in a $2 super chat. What do you guys think of Pillman Jr. in NXT? He's another guy. Now, he was not as big of a star as Jade Cargill. Like, he was pretty low tier in AEW. He did get a little bit of Dynamite TV time, but he was basically a lower card guy. Now, I'm liking what they're doing so far. They've aired 2 little vignettes, and already I care more about him now in WWE than I ever cared about him in AEW.
Me too.
This is the big difference with him. He was nervous and green, right? Being in your father's footsteps and the legacy that he had. There's one guy now that's looking over Pillman, not his dad, right? Because that's obvious, but Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Dude, Shawn Michaels give that Shawn Michaels-ness to Pillman Jr., it's off to the races. So I'm feeling good about that as well.
The irony of the Click looking out for a member of the Hart family is not lost on me. I'm just throwing that out there. Just saying. It's amazing how time heals every damn wound, folks. Every one of them.
Pillman Jr. is going to be another interesting one to watch. Because, yes, we know like the bigger stars in AEW are going to have a good shot in WWE, but you have to think that some of the lower tier guys in AEW and women, they're going to be like, well, WWE's not going to do anything with me. But if Brian Pillman Jr. does well, some of these up and comers that could potentially be big stars, they might move away from AEW.
See, Aaron, they didn't lean heavy into Brian Sr. when he was in AEW. They mentioned it. I forget who he had the program with. Brian Sr. was brought up momentarily. They're not leaning into Pillman. They're freaking like throwing him into the damn television screen like Bengals Saturday night. I'm like, okay, it's Pillman. Got it. You know, like they are like making sure we know exactly who this is. And if Junior is willing to have that be what they do with him and he's successful, then yeah, you're right. The undercard of AEW, like, you know what? Screw it. Let's go. See what happens.
Dude, and WWE owns like all the Pillman stuff.
Exactly.
Like, if they want to ever incorporate that in a feud with the guy going against him, bringing up his dad and all the stuff he did, you know how they do.
That's been the one thing about the Owen showcasing is that AEW owns none of that shit.
Right.
They can't. But if Pillman Jr.'s in WWE, they own the Stampede footage, as far as I know. WCW footage, ECW footage, WWE footage. It's all there. So they can seriously make a legacy program for Pillman Jr. and just send him off to the races.
We'll see.
All right. So yeah, we're caught up, Virtue.
Main event, Edge, Adam Copeland, right? The last time I remember referring to him as Adam Copeland, what was that TV series he was on, Jeff? The
Haven.
Highlander or
Haven?
Adam
Haven.
Copeland.
Even more recently, Highlander was that movie. Yeah,
It's going
Vikings
to take
too,
me a
Ron.
while, right? It's going to take. I'm going to want to always say Edge, just like Daniel Bryan. But Adam Copeland is now in AEW, so he debuted at the end of Wrestle Dream. Came out there when Christian was about to wreak havoc. Christian, it's going to make me pay more attention to Christian when I see him doing the scrums, burying the writers, the sheet writers, dude. Like I am very interested in an Edge and Christian program, however it works out, whether it's guys with them against each other, they end up being back on the same side. I'm interested in it. Right? I always thought Edge was a WWE lifer, so it was a little bit shocking, but then I can't say it was shocking because look at all the people that have went over there, like Bryan Danielson and others, and I just feel like in Moxley, this is like you could just see him doing it. But Jeff, what do you think here? This is what's bothering me with the whole way it went down. Edge is a Hall of Famer.
Okay.
Him and Beth Phoenix recently went over and looked good.
Yeah.
I know there was that little Judgment Day debacle. They wanted him to be a certain way, and I don't exactly know. We don't know exactly what went down with that because remember Cody got hurt, so I always thought they just needed a baby face, so they pulled Edge out of Judgment Day. People were leaking that he didn't like some of the creative with that. I'm just like, what the heck? Why did he want to? Like, he had a good gig. He didn't have to show up. I'm confused. Unless he wants to work with certain people that are over there so bad, it was a little confusing to me. So, what's your thoughts here?
Well, Aaron, you had your hand up like you wanted to jump in.
Oh, I just wanted to say, what does Edge, Christian, Paul White, Mark Henry, and Matt Hardy all have in common?
Lita?
That was not okay. Jesus.
I'm done.
Why should I know this?
You just ruined my
I don't know, Aaron. What? I mean,
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton.
Oh, yeah.
Randy Orton took care of all of them, and they all
that's
ended
a
up
good
in AEW during the pandemic.
Yep. Aaron's going for
Jeff.
a feel-good moment. Y'all are being nasty. All right.
I don't know.
We had a little bit of trivia. Thanks a lot, Big G.
With him, it was just confusing, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe the check was double. I mean,
We try so hard to keep it maintained for Virtue and Aaron, and it never works out. Okay, so
Yes,
golly, okay, God, my shot looks like shit. What the hell?
we thought we knew him. We didn't.
We did. So if you watch the scrum, first of all, during the scrum, Christian's my new hero. Like Alvarez was good to us in the old days,
Dude,
but
I watched that about 50 times over, Jeff.
when
When I realized it was Alvarez he was talking to.
I wish so bad it would have been Meltzer. That would have made my entire rest of my year. Like just to silence Dave Meltzer would have been the greatest thing of all time. Anyway, but Brian's almost as good. Anyway, Adam mentioned during the scrum that there's like just a casual glance, there's like whatever he said, 14 or 16 guys that he hasn't worked with ever that he wants to. Never been. Had a match with Samoa Joe, which I was like, okay, that makes sense. He was on hiatus when Joe really came in and was in WWE. Never stood in the ring with Sting, which I thought was interesting. But it's like, okay, yeah, he was kind of appearing when Sting was there, but not all that often. So there's potential there. Now that he's healed up and cleared for a full-time schedule, at least it seems that way based on what they said at the scrum. Adam's always come off to me as somebody, and he mentioned this at the presser, that he's all about new challenges. And there are so many people between people that were in WWE when he was there that he didn't get to work with, people that were there when he was on his hiatus that he hasn't got to work with, these younger kids like Darby, like Nick Wayne that are in AEW. But the biggest thing, he said it point blank at the media thing, his daughter wanted him to go back to work with Uncle Jay and go play with Uncle Jay. Like Christian's there, man. And, Christian versus Edge, I swear to God, if it happens at Full Gear, I'm going to be so pissed because I'm not going to Full Gear because I already have like way booked plans with the network stuff. It's like, damn, like save it for a different show that I can watch and not have to worry about missing it live. But there's when you get 30 years in, like Adam is, when you get as far into the career as like, Sting is, or, even Punk, you have to find a way to keep yourself, your mentality engaged. You mentioned a few minutes ago, Virtue, the creative with Judgment Day, whether it was because of Cody or not, soured him a little bit. And, he whatever interview that Aaron posted, he was talking about retirement because the moment with Sheamus felt like such a good way to go, but then he cleared it up. That was a perfect way for the Edge character to go. So now we have Adam Copeland that's going to go in AEW and face, Christian Cage, going to face Samoa Joe, going to deal with Nick Wayne's horrible betrayal in front of his own mother, that little bastard. Just there's so much immediate potential of things for Adam to do that I look forward to tomorrow on the anniversary. Curious how the match with Luchasaurus is going to go next Tuesday. With Christian's going to be hovering right there, waiting to do something. They're going to set it up way too early, unfortunately, with him and Christian having their match. But still, one of the comments said he's got 2 to 3 years at most because as energized as he is, as clear as his body is, it's still none of us are getting any younger.
All right, well said, Jeff. And
I try.
You got John Cena back.
Yeah.
The Rock didn't do that appearance for free.
No.
WWE's putting their money in different avenues of stars, and maybe what they offered to keep Edge around, Edge was like, I'm worth a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
And think about it with this history, but he's not John Cena based on how WWE pushed him, even though Edge was really pushed to the moon if you look at it. And this could just be he wasn't satisfied with what they were going to pay him.
I mean, maybe
he got probably more to go work with other friends that he hasn't worked with for a while. And it makes sense if you look at it that way. I mean, to where I never thought it would happen, and it did. And then you try to reason it, and that's my reason, right? You can't blame somebody going for more money. WWE was on cuts too with the new company, right? And it's a bad time to want a contract because they're not going to offer you. Unless you're like that John Cena type name, they're not going to offer you what you might want.
No, and again, remember, his big 25th anniversary moment came right before the merger was finalized. So it's one of those, what more, not even talking about money, what more did the Edge character have that hadn't already been done and that Adam as Edge really felt like needed to happen? Like, there's nothing really. I mean, 25 years into WWE, 31 into the industry. He's probably just like, you know what? I'm good here. I'm good with the chapters I wrote here. Let's move on.
Yeah, and then that fresh opponent's bullshit. That's bullshit because there was up and comers he could have worked with in WWE, right? I mean, Grayson Waller. I thought veterans wanted to work, but I'm talking long programs, not just one-offs. Austin Theories. So this whole thing about he wanted fresh opponents, that's bullshit. He went to AEW, Christian and money. Okay, Big G, what do you think here?
I agree with that.
So first of all, Jeff, this is for you. When I saw Edge's debut and it said our feature presentation, I was like, am I watching the Jeff Meacham Network here now?
Yeah, okay. So I saw that and I was like, man, they totally took. So full disclosure, I'm totally playing my cards here. Our little thing where we go, our feature presentation, that is straight out of our Rocky Horror presentation we used to do back when I was on cast there. Okay. I don't know which studio originally used it or whatever, but it's in the public domain. It's from like the 70s, and it just fit perfectly. So when I heard it, I'm like, it sounds familiar. Then when I saw it, I'm like, damn, Edge is using the old Grindhouse thing. I'm here for it. I was like, that's the first that was thing. So good. It was so good. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But yeah, Adam being in AEW, I think is good for him. Like you said, Christian's there. There's people that he hasn't seen in forever that are probably there in AEW. Like, there's a video that AEW posted afterwards. Like he was in the crowd, taking selfies with the fans, and he hugged Taz, who I'm sure he hadn't seen in forever. But also, it's cool that like WWE doesn't own the rights for Alter Bridge and the Rated R Superstar anymore, so they can use that. Because like when I was thinking if Edge is gonna debut, I was like, are they gonna allow him to use Alter Bridge, or is he gonna come out to something totally different, or what? And as soon as Alter Bridge hit, that place erupted. I believe, from what I read, I believe that Beth was the one who said, "If you think you know me," for
Yes.
That's what's been said. Yes.
So that'd be pretty cool. So maybe we could see Beth showing up in AEW now that Adam's over there too. Now,
Well, sure, get double the payday for
right?
from the money mark. Absolutely.
Yep. I don't care what people say. Give me Edge and Christian versus the Hardys one more time. Give it to me one more time.
Give me Edge and Christian destroying the Young Bucks. How about that?
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I endorse the hell out of that one.
I think we could get Edge and Christian versus FTR. They want to work together for sure.
Yeah. And seeing that little clip of like FTR like in the corner behind the Titantron, like clapping.
That was awesome. That was so cool to see them just like waiting for him.
Yeah. But yeah.
Well, I mean, it's good to have another adult in the locker room. I mean, they should be ecstatic. they should, like, their buddy Punk is gone, but Adam's here now.
That was great.
Like that's great. They should be happy.
That was a good one.
And I hope they went out and had a nice steak dinner and Adam Copeland paid for it.
Hell yeah, they did. Are you kidding me? Freaking Dax and Cash are probably loving life. We lost still, we got Adam. I'm here for it. I don't care.
I think Adam will be happy for now, and he'll be happy for now until he sees how, I don't want to say how toxic, but like how bad it is with the Young Bucks back there.
I think he'll be all right.
Yeah,
I don't think the Bucks are going to try to mess with Adam. Like,
you know what?
I can't see him being that stupid. Like, I really can't.
I want to see Adam versus Jericho again.
Oh,
Give me Adam versus Jericho.
We didn't get near enough of that in 2002 or 2010. I'm here for more of it.
And then,
or even imagine this.
They need to do something with Adam, Christian, and Jericho betting a Canadian dollar on somebody again.
That's
or
awesome.
imagine them as
you're awful.
Imagine them as the trios champ. Like if Christian goes back, if somehow Edge can convince Christian to be face eventually, like a year from now, and then go on a run as trio champs.
There you go. Just have them beat the Bucks and Kenny, and the Bucks are going. I feel outnumbered with all these Canadians. I feel grossly outmatched here.
All right, Walter, Mr. Reliable.
Yeah, I'm happy for Edge. Like, let him do it. And all these people that are like talking shit and and he should have been a loyalist and shut the fuck up. You don't work for the companies. Like, who do you care that you work? Yeah, there's the one, Aaron. I'm sorry, but you don't. Do you work for the company? Like, why do you care? Let the man be happy. He had the universe stole 11 years from his life. He got what he loved to do taken away from him. And if he wants to make up for lost time, let him do what he's got to do. As long as he's happy and doing what he's got to do. The man is healthy. I'm just glad to see him back on the TV. I don't care what company he works for. And then I say, keep that same energy. Everybody's on AEW's ass because Adam Copeland's there. When CM Punk comes back to the WWE, don't go flipping back now. Don't go, oh, look, it's Punk, because that's exactly what the hell is going to happen. Keep that same energy when Punk comes back to WWE too. But anyways, in Noah's words, I digress. But but yeah, I'm just happy for Adam, and it is gonna. I almost said Edge again. Like it's gonna get some.
He is
getting used to. Yeah, at least we can still say rated R superstar. But I'm happy for him. Let him make his money. Let him do what he's got to do, and we'll see. But it's crazy that him and Sting been wrestling so long and never had an interaction until that just happened. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, Walter mentioned at the beginning of my show yesterday. It's like, God, we were talking about Billy Gunn. How about Sting? It's like, nope, Sting's been through the exact same amount of presidencies that Billy Gunn's been through, because it includes Reagan. They both old.
All right, Aaron, over to you now. I don't know if any super chats came in, but go ahead. Excited. You're the last man standing here.
I'm excited for Adam Copeland and AEW. I actually watched back that clip a couple of times, which I usually don't do for wrestling shows. I'll watch it once and then I move on. But I did watch it several times, and I'm happy for him that he seems to be excited for this, and I'm sure he's making the big money, getting paid well for this. This was one of the fun things about the Attitude Era, when wrestlers would go to a new company. That's why Jade Cargill coming in is exciting. That's why Edge is going to AEW. That's exciting because it's something different for them. It's a whole new environment for them. And it's fun as a fan to see them with some different opponents and just different storylines and whatnot. But the question is, will this be a big success, or will it end up being Bret Hart in WCW? That remains to be seen. The jury's out on that. Will Tony Khan be able to creatively make the most out of Adam Copeland? That remains to be seen. I think him having his entrance music is a big positive. Like the whole presentation, it's Edge, except he's Adam Copeland. But he's got a big part of his presentation with him, and that's going to do him well. I mean, this could be the biggest signing in AEW to date. I know CM Punk is right up there, and the thing about CM Punk was he was out of the limelight for so many years. Edge was just on WWE TV less than 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So he was at WrestleMania. He's been active, and it's something AEW desperately needed, because they've been cooling off despite Wembley. They've been cooling off. Their attendance has been down. Their numbers have been, the 850,000 for Dynamite, Collision between 500,000 and like really low this past week because of NXT. So they need a boost right now. Edge could not have come at a better time for AEW. They really do need him in there. And maybe Beth Copeland comes in too and gets involved in the women's division. Short term should be really good for AEW. I think they'll pop a rating for Dynamite, but where will it go from there? Like, will it pop the pay-per-view buy rates? I think Edge and Christian will do well. I expect that at Full Gear, and eventually they'll do Edge versus MJF. At some point, Edge and Christian will reunite. They'll probably go for the tag team titles. They might even do Edge and Christian versus the Hardys. You could even have Edge, Christian, and someone else go for the trios titles. Like, there's so many things you can do with Adam Copeland. They got him facing Luchasaurus next week, so at least they got him in a pretty big match to start things off with him. And he says he's going to be there every week, and I'm curious to see where they go with it. And this guy Experience sent in a $2 super chat. He says, if Adam can't make it work over at AEW in deep poop. Very true. Like, if AEW fumbles Adam Copeland, then there's not much hope for them, at least at a creative level.
One of our old contributors, Aaron, said on Twix. I'll say Twix. That
Twix?
Twitter, X, Twitter. I call it Twix just to be funny. I don't care.
We're talking about the candy bar here.
Well, no, because there's definitely two sides to this argument. So somebody was saying that this was akin to Hogan going to WCW. I don't think it was this big. I don't think Hogan going to WCW. I don't remember who it was on. I think it was.
You just don't want to throw him under the bus.
No. Okay. Yeah, that's true. I don't want to be honest with you. But I don't think it's near as big as Hogan signing in WCW. It's a big deal for AEW in 2023, but Hogan going to WCW was completely industry changing.
It's more like Kurt Angle going to TNA. Kurt Angle definitely helped TNA, and I think helped build them up until Hogan and Bischoff came in and pretty much ruined everything. But Angle was a really good pickup for, even though Angle was not in a good place mentally or physically. He definitely had the star power, and he brought it in the ring. He could still go in the ring. I would say Edge is even in a better position because he seems to be pretty healthy, all things considered. And I think there's definitely a lot of potential with him in AEW.
Yeah, he seems genuinely happy in his life and in his career, whereas Angle's personal life was such a train wreck in 2006. So
how funny is it, Jeff? They got Bryan Danielson, they got Adam Copeland, and Saraya. Yep. However you say her name. Those were the 3 neck injury or the bad injuries we didn't know. If they'd ever
Shibata,
roster.
Christian also had the same injury. Stone Cold Steve Austin's next. Telling you, it's Austin's gonna sign with AEW now.
Yeah,
Tony's gonna have his friggin' Infinity
the
Stones
other
now.
that's the other joke. Like Randy Orton sent all these people to AEW, and then Tony Khan's signing all the people that had the career-ending injuries.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Sting too. Sting, add him to the list.
Oh yeah,
That's true, because Sting was on that list of the stenosis. That's true. I forgot about that. So there you go.
Yeah.
Tony's got his Infinity Stones. He's ready to go.
Yeah.
He's gonna snap and change the world.
Aaron, any other super chats? Anything else?
There's a picture out there with him with the Infinity Gun.
Of course there is.
And you
People
know,
just
I do
can't
want to
wait,
say
man.
this. I'm willing to bet one guy that probably congratulated Adam Copeland with a phone call. This is a speculation, and said, "You go get what I left behind." Was probably CM Punk.
I would say that's probably a safe bet. I know.
I would be willing to put money on it, and think about it. They're friends with FTR. Those guys all talk. They all talk.
Did they ever work together in WWE?
Who's that?
Edge and Punk.
I don't know if Edge came in when he was out hurt and did some promos or anything like that. But no, Punk.
Yeah.
Wait, before injury. Straight at
yeah, I was just saying before the injury. Yeah, because Punk left in 2014, but he was doing the whole Stretch Society thing in 2010, right before he worked with John, and that was when Edge came back off the Achilles.
Remember, they were in Money in the Bank matches together.
That's true.
No,
that's right.
I have to look. I'll look at it.
But
there was never there wasn't like a definitive program with them, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, Punk cashed in on Edge.
Correct.
Yeah, so they go way back.
2008, that's right.
It's been
that's
so
right,
long.
Yeah.
But they go way back. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say, Aaron. Back to you.
Damn, 15 years. Holy shit.
Yeah, looking forward to what happens with Adam Copeland. And yeah, I think it's a great pickup. Maybe the best one AEW's ever had.
So far, anyway.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I've said my piece on it, and it'll be fun to follow over the next couple weeks.
Including tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, let's go around and do our plugs then. I'll start with you, Big G.
Yes. And if you want to throw that up, there you go. You can follow me on TikTok at BigBallerG1988, on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at NoDQ. Twix.
We're going with Twix now. I'm gonna get going to everybody. Everybody's gonna start saying that now.
I
love
it. Instagram, NoDQ_BigBallerG1988. And that is it for me.
All right, good having you on as always. Okay, Walter, over to you.
All right. So for me, you can follow my YouTube on Rage of Wrestling. If you're into MMA, I'm gonna start doing watch-alongs for that. During the Islam Makhachev fight versus Charles Oliveira, and then on Instagram, there's Cowfire Farms there, and on the X is Walter Alex Cruz. And thanks for having me on again.
Yep. Mr. Reliable, you came in clutch. All right, Jeff.
So I'll be doing Stat Boy Sports Bar here at the top of the hour, but I wanted to get this out there. Next Friday out in Vegas, my friend's Paradise Kitty will be performing at Counts Vamped out there in Las Vegas. It's Jenna's birthday celebration, so we're trying to get everybody to get out there and show love for our favorite lead badass rock and roll singer and the band. So come on out to Vegas next Friday night. It is Friday the 13th, so it'll be a partial Halloween celebration too, because Friday the 13th in October, no less. So it's going to be a crazy time out in Sin City, but we're going to have a lot of fun. But yeah, tune in at the top of the next hour on my channel and JD's channel for Stat Boy Sports Bar.
All right, good having you on. And back to you, Aaron.
Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to the panel for being on tonight. And we got predictions for the next pay-per-view, WWE Fastlane, coming up on Thursday night. Walter is going to be on. Not sure who else is going to be on, but I guess Jeff's going to be on, and maybe Steve-O, maybe TJS. We'll see. And that's it, everyone. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Jeff?
You're doing a recap of Dynamite tomorrow, right? Because of the anniversary?
Definitely.
Yeah, because we're doing a watch-along since the anniversary.
By the way, I should mention, we've talked about switching nights and whatever. So I have a thing going on Sunday night. We're going to come back next Wednesday. So just let everybody know, Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. So instead of Dynamite's going to be on Tuesday. They're doing Title Tuesday.
Right.
We're going to be on in Dynamite's time slot next week for the NoDQ review. Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, prime time. Big G, 8 o'clock, not 7.
8 o'clock.
Dynamite time. Instead of Dynamite, it's the No DQ review. I'm going to plug it all week. We're going to make a big deal out of it, a special Wednesday night edition.
I'm working with it either way. So.
Coming up. Well, screw you then. But,
Hey, this guy, he's the one that put me on the schedule for Tuesday, Wednesday.
Wednesdays is my days off, so.
Hey, I'm going to agree with, before I go, I'm going to agree with Tito. Moxley's probably still the biggest get for AEW. I mean, you're talking about the guy that spent WWE career with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, the two current champions. Of
That's
WWE.
a fair point. That's a fair point.
But I mean, Edge is still like a legend because of what he did prior to his injury. Like he was like one of the main pushed guys in the Cena era that wasn't John Cena. So
I think Moxley's the biggest guy they got that's been already on the roster and consistent from the beginning. What Adam does will determine if Mox holds that spot.
And Punk should have been, but you know, it was that didn't go according to plan. All right.
No.
Follow me on x.com if you dare at NoDQ_virtue. Go to NoDQ.com/merch and check out all the great merchandise. But that is it for the NoDQ review 255. We're gonna get a new one soon. For Aaron, for Walter, for Big Baller G, for Jeff Meacham, and the whole DQ Galaxy and crew that wasn't here tonight. Good night, everybody. We will see you again next Wednesday for 256.
Wednesday.
Later.
8 o'clock.
Review. When is it?
Wednesday, 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. No DQ review coming up.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Do not forget DJS. Do not forget. Big G. Do not forget. Walter. Do not forget. Jeff Meacham. Do not forget.
I'm working. I don't give a shit when you do the review next week.
Still don't forget. Wednesday night, everybody. Wednesday.
I'll turn on in the kitchen. Wednesday. I'll turn on in the kitchen Wednesday. I promise.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Wednesday.